this is Paul DeVoe, the Facility Director at the ARK Kaufman YMCA in Kitchener, here to talk to you guys today about the WHMIS training. Workplace Hazardous Materials Information System. A lot of you have taken this training before, either here or at other workplaces. It is a system that moved to a globally harmonized system, so worldwide. Workers do have the right to know legislation. It's a Canada-wide system that began in 1988 and it was updated in 2015, and it needs to be renewed and reviewed every year. We need to be testing people and make sure they're current on the knowledge, or if we bring in any other chemicals through the GHS is a globally harmonized system, so it went from being something just in Canada to something used worldwide. It's a classification of labeling of the chemicals that we use. The three methods of information: worker education and training, labels, and the safety data sheets, which used to be called material safety data sheets, more commonly known as SDS. This is an example of the safety data sheets that we use. Section 1 gives you the identification of the product, 2 the hazard identifications, the composition and the information of the ingredients, first aid measures, firefighting measures, accidental release measures, handling and storage, the exposure controls and the personal protective equipment that we need, the physical and the chemical properties of the product, stability and reactivity, the toxicological information, ecological info, disposal considerations, transport information, regulatory information, and any other info that they deem information important there. When it comes to the disposal considerations, if there's any product that you ever come across that you're not sure how to dispose of, you would bring that to the facilities department, and there is a way that I dispose of that. We actually renew licenses with the Ministry of the Environment, and we have somebody come in that disposes that for us. So please don't dump it down the drain or anything of the sort. We want to make sure that we dispose of it properly. Labels themselves: all hazardous product, it must be labeled. If there's no label, please take it off the floor right away. We always make sure that that is not in circulation throughout the building. Written label is acceptable. We do have stickers throughout the building, but it is acceptable as long as you have the product name, the safe handling precautions, possibly the protective equipment, and also a reference to the safety data sheet if it is possible. Personal protective equipment, which we call PPE. These are items designed to restrict the entry. We're going to talk a little bit about that further. The safety: we demonstrate proper technique and common sense when you're using chemicals. Any chemical can be dangerous to your body, and these are just a couple pictures of examples of people not using common sense. There's 4 ways that the materials can enter the bloodstream: absorption through the skin, injection through the skin and muscle tissue, inhalation from breathing, and ingestion through the mouth. Hazardous chemicals, they must be used in well-ventilated areas. Even when using personal protected equipment, it's important to have as much airflow as possible, and alerting other people when you're using these chemicals to make sure they steer clear of the air. These are the pictograms that we use right now, part of the globally harmonized system. Health hazards: these are carcinogens, respiratory sensitizers, reproductive toxicity. We don't have to deal with that fortunately much here at the Y, but being familiar with the pictogram is important in case anything ever did come in contact here. Gas cylinders: this is compressed gases. The example of what we use here would be our CO2 tanks. Back in our main pool filtration room, we use the CO2 as a means of keeping track and controlling the pH in our main pool. The flame over the circle: these are oxidizers, liquids and solids. The flame on the top and the center, the flammable gases, liquids and solids. Corrosion, skin corrosion. Biggest example of this, muriatic acid, which is what we use to control pH in both of our hot tubs, in the women's and the men's plus change rooms. We also use acid for doing some deep cleaning. There will be maintenance staff that use this to do some really deep cleaning in some of our shower areas, possibly the hot tub areas, and no one is to use this product without being properly trained on. Environment, the aquatic toxicity, the exclamation mark on the top right, which is an irritant, a dermal sensitizer. The exploding bomb, explosives and self-reactives. Small examples of that could be even aerosol cans such as WD-40 or other lubricants that we use on our fitness equipment throughout the building. The skull and the crossbones, and that's acute toxicity. eye wash stations. We have a couple in our building. One is in our pool mechanical room right behind the door, and one up in our laundry room when you first walk into the laundry area. If you ever did have something happen, something got into your eye, it does require 15 minutes of continuous flow. That is why most buildings have gotten away from just having a bottle ready to squirt in your eye. It is important that you have the flow going continuously throughout, even if medical services are coming to assist you. The safety data sheet binder locations, there's one at Paul's desk, another one at front desk. There can be other areas. We'll likely expand on that, and if there's another one that you've been made aware of by your supervisor, they will let you know where that one is. This is an example of the product label that we use. There are a number of different ones, but this shows one of our disinfectant cleaners that we use here at the Kitchener Y. This is EW150. And it shows you on the label that it is recommended to use rubber gloves, avoid contact with the skin and eyes. This is just something that we would use on our spray bottles, and again, it is perfectly acceptable to write it directly on a bottle as long as we have the identifiers on there. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me directly or anyone else in our facilities team or your supervisor directly. We can answer any questions you have, and I hope you enjoyed this informational session.